Bill Gates is currently the second richest person in the world after Jeff Bezos. Almost all of that success he owes to Microsoft, which he founded in 1975 with his friend Paul Allen, not the one who got the reservation at Dorsia. He is now working full-time at his private charity called Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. This is episode 2 of the Intellectual Work podcast about the work habits of Bill Gates. Most of the information I've taken from James Wallace's and Jim Erickson's Hard Drive, Bill Gates and the Making of the Microsoft Empire. So another biographical episode. I mentioned Bill Gates in the last one, and I thought there might be more that we could learn from the way he operates. Surprisingly, there wasn't that much new from the last episode, but I think it's useful to look at it from a different perspective, especially since Bill Gates is quite considerably different from Elon Musk. He only had basically one company, just Microsoft. Of course, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, but that doesn't exactly. It's not exactly supposed to make him money. It's supposed rather to make him lose money. It probably does make him a little bit of money, but still, he got all his wealth from Microsoft, and he worked at that company. That was basically all the one tech company that he had. We know that Elon Musk had Tesla, SpaceX, of course, Solar City wasn't his. Tesla exactly wasn't his either, but now it is. And he had Zip2 and X.com, which were, I guess, kind of similar to Microsoft in that they were digital. Microsoft, I don't think, makes hardware. Wait, they do, probably. Yeah. Okay. But Bill Gates probably wasn't very much involved in the hardware. So I think they're very different people. In a sense, of course, they are both very rich people who got their wealth from tech companies. But aside from that, I think there is a difference between them that I think Bill Gates is more just a very intelligent guy, and his character builds on top of that. Whereas I feel Elon Musk, his character comes first, and then just his ability to execute his plans, helps with executing them. So that's where he gets his ideas first, and then he can execute upon them. Whereas Bill Gates is just a guy who's fascinated with computers. So let's get into it. First, of course, now the biggest difference in how they both operate is that I feel like with Elon Musk, the main theme was that he works really hard. I would go on a limb and say that he works just a little bit harder than Bill Gates. And this is the main theme of his life, as well as creating this fantastic future. And with Bill Gates, there was a different theme that ran through his entire life, and that was competitiveness. It didn't matter whether it was hearts or pickleball or swimming to the dock. there was always a reward for winning, and there was always a penalty for losing. And now the book starts with how he once memorized the Sermon of the Mount, which is chapters 5, 6, and 7 of the book of Matthew at the age of 11. And that's quite a long chunk of reading. I don't think it rhymes, and probably some archaic words that it's probably difficult to memorize. That reminded me of something from Cal Newport's deep work, and again I'm mentioning it like in the first episode. In it, the author recommends card memorization as a focus exercise, and I believe that could. I don't think that Bill Gates got his ability to focus from memorization, but I think that first came the ability to focus, and with that he could memorize. So maybe it could be. So maybe we could reverse that and try to learn to memorize things so that we could focus better. But either way, I think those two things are connected. He also read books. He read biographies, business and science books, novels, and he would sometimes recite them to impress others, which is, again, memorization. So I think it also comes with a reward. Of course, you're going to impress people. Some might not like it, but you might like it anyway. You might feel like you're impressing them even though they don't care. But at least, you get a reward. And something that the author of this book, Hard Drive, notes often is also that he rocks in a chair, which is just he needs an outlet to his energy. That's, of course, again, like I said, he does things that are just from the way that come from the way he is, and not the other way around. They don't influence what he does. They don't influence how he performs. It's just that, he's an energetic guy and he needs an outlet for his energy. But perhaps that's similar to eating fast or walking fast from the last episode. I think maybe not rocking in a chair, but something along those lines. So, for example, walking fast or eating fast could help get yourself in that state of being energetic. It could work. Again, this is all just, I feel like that it works, but it could just be, everything in this could be just from the way he is and not actually contributing to his success. So again, this competitiveness, he's competitive at sports, tennis, water skiing. I don't remember many other sports. What did he play? I don't know. But he would be also, I would always want to win at school assignments, for example. Any school assignment, be it playing a musical instrument or writing papers, whatever, he would do any or he would do at any or all hours of the day. So that again, from the first episode, the ability to work on something, on one specific thing, for a long period of time. That's also a theme with him. He also doesn't sleep. He could go like 3 days without sleep. How he coped with the lack of sleep, I never figured out. I would kind of wimp out after 18 to 24 hours, but his habit was to do 36 hours or more at a stretch, collapse for 10 hours, then go out, get a pizza, and go back at it. And if that meant he was starting again at 3 o'clock in the morning, so be it. So also, I don't know, I feel like this time it's again more that he was just fascinated. I don't know, it's just with Elon Musk, it seems like what he did contributed in some way to his success. But maybe it's the way this book is written. But it always seems like with Bill Gates, it's the other way around. He's just that kind of guy who's really into whatever he's doing. And so he just goes at it for 3 days without sleep. Something that I found out, he wasn't worried about burning out young. That's more of, maybe I should bring that up later, because that relates to his Microsoft days. So let's just mention that he also plays poker. And again, this is something that didn't probably bring him to success. It's just something that he did, and he really liked poker, and he wanted to be the best at it. Which, again, he wasn't, actually. He was pretty good at it, maybe even really good, but he wasn't exceptional at it. So again, this is something that I feel like, yeah, he just does it because he wants to, and kind of sheds a different light on it. Just, not this aura of everything he does is just he just wins at it, and it contributes to his success. Sometimes, he just does it because he wants to. Bill had a monomaniacal quality. He would focus on something and really stick with it. He had a determination to master whatever it was he was doing. Perhaps it's silly to compare poker and Microsoft, but in each case, Bill was sort of deciding where he was going to put his energy, and to hell with what anyone else thought. So yeah, I feel like, yes, this is an important quality to have. I think it's useful, but not exactly necessary. It didn't, again, contribute that much to his success, I feel. I think it's just the way he is. But still, being competitive, wanting to win at everything, and especially focusing on one thing and doing it until you completely master it. I think that's very useful, and that's something that we could really learn from Bill Gates. So now he starts Microsoft, of course, and in an interview, he said that he wasn't worried about burning out young because, well, the work we're doing it's not like we're doing the same thing all day. We go into our offices and think up new programs. We get together in meetings, we go out and see end users. We talk to customers. There's so much variety and there's always new things going on. And I don't think there ever come a time where that would be boring. And he didn't probably burn out. I don't believe that he did. Maybe his founding of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation was a sort of burning out from programming and just Microsoft. But I don't exactly think that you could really call it burning out, especially since he works really hard at his charity. So he's still going. It's just a different thing. And overall, I don't think it's useful to use the word burnout that often. I think we should be pretty careful with it, because it immediately assumes the causes of whatever is going on with your body, and it immediately suggests solutions, and I don't think I think we should use the proper vocabulary, so describe things as they are really, instead of just calling everything burnout and saying, it doesn't really matter that it's not actually a medical condition, it still happens. Because I think that's, like I said, it implies some things already with just the name. And certainly there are people like Bill Gates who can just keep going at it. And Elon Musk also hasn't burned out yet, I don't think. They do take some time off, but only a little bit, maybe a couple of days, but almost all of the time they're working, and they don't really burn out. So I think there is a way to work that really prevents burning out, and that's probably, like he said, it's just a lot of variety, and you need to be working on different things so that you rest from one thing by doing a different thing. And I also feel like, for example, just a lack of motivation should be called just that. And I think it is just that. It's just a lack of motivation. You've been doing something for a long time and you forgot why you were doing it. And you just need to remember. You just need to search for, why you thought that was important, and just keep going at it. Because I've had those moments, of course, during university, and I wouldn't say that I was burning out. I was working probably pretty hard. I'm not the best judge of that, of course, because it's me talking about me. But overall, of course, my performance has suffered but taking breaks, maybe I was taking breaks improperly, but I don't think really taking breaks, even proper breaks, would help me as much as doing research about what I was actually doing and what potential what I was doing had, what I could really learn and how I could use that later, and it's just motivation, just keeping up that motivation when you lose it. I think that's more important. I wouldn't worry that much about whatever you might think burning out is. I think it's more important to keep working hard, have that discipline, and also keep that motivation and really work on keeping that motivation. Oh, and another thing that has been noted about him, like rocking a chair, he also likes to drive fast. Again, everything is a competition for him. It turned out quite well for him, for what he was doing. He got a couple of speeding tickets, and he crashed once, at least once that I know of. He almost lost his license, but overall it could have been worse. Rauber, who is Bill's friend, whom Bill first met to discuss a cease and desist he sent him, said, Bill is competitive plus. Race car drivers have a phrase for it, red mist. They get so pumped up, they get blood in their eyes. Bill gets red mist. So that, I feel like that's a reflection of how he works. And he probably gets so pumped up about everything. And I just like also driving fast, I guess. So that's why I brought that up. But moving on, they also talking about I guess burning out and taking time off. They occasionally had parties, and of course on those parties they often had competitive games. And again, in those games, Bill of course won very often. Sometimes he would lose, but then he would, a couple of days or weeks would pass, and then they would play again this same game, and Bill this time would lose and just wreck everyone. So that's his competitive spirit. Again, very strong theme here. And there was their work ethic at Microsoft was that they had to work very long hours. There was a nice unstated rule that employees had to be at the office late into the night and on the weekends. Even there was a rumor, I think, that employees, managers, had to park their cars in the order that they arrived to work. And so no one wanted to leave before the person that arrived before them and that had the car parked next to theirs left. So that created, it's not exactly a healthy, fully healthy environment. I think, of course, it's useful to have a reward for working long hours, which they had. They had bonuses for working late in the evening and on the weekends. But that overlooked also performance. They wouldn't give out bonuses for performance or how important a certain project was. They just gave out bonuses for working hard. And that, of course, isn't the perfect state of things. But still, I feel like that's pretty useful because you can easily measure. Well, apparently they also had a problem with that, but technically you can easily measure how much you work, how long you work, and that's, just do what you can in those hours. Work as hard as possible, especially if the work ethic in the company is that you always work hard and you just, everyone's motivated and wants to do their best work. Then if you just work as hard, as long as possible, then you're going to get good results either way. So it's a pretty good way, but it's a pretty good way to reward employees, but it's not perfect, and you have to be aware of that. But also you can use that because in many companies people just go work 9 to 5 and that's it. I feel like it would be better for the company, at least, assuming that they're all motivated and really want to work there, which I guess if they're working 9 to 5 and that's it, they're not really that motivated. But it's useful, I think, to set bonuses for working longer hours. And you can do that, of course, with yourself. You can just measure the time that you work and set goals for yourself. That's, in my opinion, pretty useful. And as long as you don't take that to the extreme, you don't need to worry about basically anything else, like worse progress or that you're just slacking off during those hours that you work. And at some point, I think, you should take some countermeasures to slacking off and give yourself rewards for accomplishing goals. But at the base level, I feel like just measuring the time that you work is enough, and it can have really profound effects, and your performance certainly, in my opinion, will not suffer from that. So moving on, he was very focused. He didn't own a television and had disconnected the radio in his car. Not sure what that means. But maybe in his car you couldn't turn off the radio. I don't know what he had to disconnect that. But anyway, that tells us that he's just with Elon Musk, I said that he does multitasking. So Bill Gates apparently doesn't do that. He's very focused and he does only one thing. Even when he's driving, he's just driving. He's not listening to music. I guess there wasn't really that much information about this in the book. So I guess that's what it refers to. There was also a mention that he does some micromanaging. He was down there micromanaging everything every day, and it happened all the time. People would be going along, and we would find out behind our backs that Bill had totally reversed the direction we were going and never even bothered to tell us. So again, that's probably not the way to do. Of course, this is a critique of his style of work. I didn't really find that much information about his micromanaging, his management style. But, it's kind of... I feel like, again, it's that he has to kind of micromanage them in some way, or maybe it's just that he does it and it works for him because he's just an exceptional individual. But if he let his subordinates have some freedom, some responsibility, he would be better off. I feel like not micromanaging would be better even for him, perhaps. But again, I don't know that much about this situation. I didn't find that much information about his management style. So maybe it was just one thing that he did, or just one person that noticed that he was micromanaging everyone. And I don't know. I just don't know. So we can't really take anything from that. But again, I think very intelligent people really want to micromanage anything, and that's not great. That's usually the wrong way to do things. And there was also a note about how the offices were arranged, which sort of reminded me of the Google style office. The idea was to foster that sense of collegiality, said Microsoft's director of human resources. We were basically taking a lot of young kids who in many cases had never been away from home, or only as far as wherever they went to college, and we were moving them halfway across the country. How could you make them comfortable? These are not necessarily people who would go out and immerse themselves in the social opportunities of the area. They weren't going to go out and make friends easily or quickly or participate in a lot of the things going on in the area. And besides, we needed them at work. So we wanted to keep the atmosphere at work one they were somewhat familiar with, and secondly, also make sure it gave them a sense of social belonging. Employees were encouraged to decorate their offices however they wanted. It was kind of like their dorm room. They could have whatever they wanted in there with them and their computer. It was their space. So in this case, that's sort of like the Google Office, but it's not exactly supposed to, exactly help with. That's not exactly how they feel they should be working. It's just what works for them, because the people that they hire are just young, and they don't really feel comfortable far away from home or in a very different environment. So I feel like I'm not exactly wild about this whole Google style office thing. It's I like structure, and the Google style office is just, for me, a little too, you can do whatever you want. So I don't know. I feel like that wouldn't work for me, but it might work for others. But anyway, that was a time when that wasn't really that much popular. It was just a thing that they did, to make those kids more productive. Kids, they're probably like 25 or something. And I always like to look at the hiring process. We'd have them describe a typical work week, or their typical day. We wanted to know how many hours they were awake, what they did in those hours. We'd ask how they felt about projects they didn't get done. The kind of person we wanted was the one who responded, "God, I just hate that." We are looking for people, for what people did with their time, and the amount of energy and in their voice would tell us what we wanted to know. We wanted to know if they were driven enough, so we could drop them into our atmosphere and have them thrive. And Steve Ballmer, who is best known as Bill Gates's cocaine addicted friend, he would throw at the interviewees logic problems in the middle of an interview to throw them off, and then the same problem would get harder. There would be next iterations that were harder than the original problem. What we were interested in was not just if someone knew the answer, but could they think. A lot of bright people don't always do well in Microsoft interviews because they can't handle the pressure. The first person you interview with has the first say on whether you get the job. If you don't do well, that's the end of the road. So that's, I always think it's interesting to look at the interview process. And this one just basically tells us that, we should be more intentional about how we're spending our day. And it's sometimes useful to think about, if we were describing our day to an interviewer, for example, how would they react, what they would think of it, and are we doing enough? And also, one last thing, they had employee meetings in which Bill and Steve Ballmer acted more like cheerleaders, talking about the company's future, which is, a great motivation, and it gets you pumped up to do your work. But there is also another side of this, that you're excited about the future and not really that much about what you're working on. So it could be, I guess, a double-edged sword, but I don't think that really matters that much. I think you have to be careful with this, but I think it's almost always better to have that kind of cheerleading and just getting motivated about the future. I think it's, in almost every case, it's better than not having that. So that was Bill Gates. Like I said, not that much new. But we certainly got the point across that he was competitive. And in the next episode, it probably won't be a biographical one. I might share some of my experience, some of my thoughts on intellectual work. So I'll see you then, and thank you for listening.